Hey, you guys. Okay, so this just obviously you guys know who I am, I think by this moment, but this is just showing you a little bit about who I am. And then today's class, my little clicker doesn't work, so I kind of have to stand behind this computer. But a few of the objections that we want to cover today are really understanding the purpose of doing open houses, understand what activities constitute a 7th level open house, and that is a reference from the MREA book. And understand how to generate and follow up on leads from open houses. So I'm hoping that's what you're going to learn today. If we have time, we'll go a little bit into command, but if not, you're also going to receive a copy of the playbook today. So that has everything, including step-by-step instructions on how to follow up in command. So if we don't get that far, you're definitely going to be able to get that at the end. So why are we doing open houses? So maybe answer that question before you read the paragraph, but why do we do open houses? Any thoughts on why we do them?
I think it makes it easier to showcase the house to a lot of people instead of scheduling individual showings. And it's easier on the homeowner.
Yes, true. That's a great answer. Yes. Easier on the agent. It's so true.
Do rentals, and I used to like say on this, okay, you come at 6, you come at 6:15, you come at 6:30, and then no shows. I'm gonna have like 2 hours with 3 people.
Yes.
So nice, like the open house drives. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be there between 6 and 7, and it drives people in. It drives like competition. Like, ooh, someone else is into this. I want this house. I want them to have it. So it's time efficient.
Yes. Yes, Marcel basically just said it's much easier for the agent to like efficiency, getting more people through in a smaller period of time, not having to schedule a whole bunch of things. So those are all great examples. One of the other things I'm going to go through some myths of open houses. Have you guys noticed not a lot of other companies do open houses? I feel like they're maybe becoming a little more popular, but I've been with several other companies, and until I got to Keller Williams, open houses was not something that I was doing a lot of. I had a lot of the myths that we're going to go over today. But yeah, so if you read this, the very first open house was held in 1910. So that's crazy. That's a long time ago. So obviously they work because we're still doing them after all of these years. So since then, real estate agents all over the world have continued to host them as a way to sell their listings and meet future buyers and sellers. So according to the 2021 Home Buyers and Sellers Generational Sellers Report, authored by the National Association of Realtors, 53% of all home buyers source the information about a property at an open house. So half of our buyers actually get information from an open house. So that dispels some myths that I've definitely heard of and that I used to think about open houses. So I'm hoping to change your mind about that if you had the same thoughts. So today we're going to dig into 5 steps to hosting an open house. So the steps that we're going to cover is picking the right house. Some ideas on that is holding your own listings, which Marilee gets to do this week. Properties that are new to the market, low inventory neighborhoods, and mid-range priced homes. We're also going to cover create marketing materials. So the idea of the marketing materials, you don't need a ton of them, but ideas I put on here are flyers, a registration sheet. That's probably one of the most important things, and a scorecard as well. And then I would also say, we're going to talk about doing some, I guess it's on marketing the open house. We're going to talk about social media, but market the open house to inviting your database. I feel like this is one step that a lot of people do not do. We want your database to start seeing you as somebody who literally does real estate all the time. So open houses are a really good way to just show that you're working really hard. It's a good excuse for lead generation. There's so many things you get around an open house. So we definitely want to do that. We want to invite all of the neighbors. The idea there is not just for looky-loos, but they usually know who wants to move into their neighborhood. They may have friends, family, and then obviously the flip side of that is we want to pick up listings. Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, excuse me, Marcel with Real Advantage Title is in the room. And so he's also reminding us that they have a really good software that can help us do all of this, figuring out who the neighbors are, and getting all of that information. What else would you say about that? I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about door knocking around the open house. So I know you have a walking farm. app.
You're going on track of who owns who's renting, so you can mark
Let's see here.
sides of that.
Okay,
We also have software where you can go to the area and just scrub some phone numbers and make some calls.
Okay.
So that's
scrubbing phone numbers so we can get you access to phone numbers. So yeah, there's a lot that we can talk about on how you're gonna get all of this stuff. And then,
you talked about flyers and stuff. Our software will go right to labels. You can get labels pretty quick. If you want to send out maybe a smaller farm.
yes,
For something showing excitement for it. It's
that's a great idea.
if you have like a higher price listing that you have a smaller pool of people you're going to be working with, then you kind of want to be more as far as like how are you going to market that a little bit more creative.
Yes. So he's also saying that they can help you get labels prepared if you want to send out postcards. So something else to think about. I'm going to sit down because everybody in the room is sitting down and yeah, and it's 4 o'clock. So, okay. So the next thing we want to do to get ready is just get ready for the open house, which means we want to get signs out. You can reserve signs here in the office. Usually you get 4 signs. This playbook is going to recommend that you use between 20 and 40 signs. So that sounds a bit aggressive. I don't see a ton of that happening these days, but obviously the more signs, the better. So use the office signs, just reserve them early. You can reserve them, a week ahead. If you know you're going to do an open house, reserve them on Monday. And otherwise start collecting your own open house signs. So they're really not that expensive. You can get them for 10 or 15 bucks for just like the metal sticks and the cardboard ones. They don't need to be anything fancy. The idea is we just want everybody knowing that you're doing an open house and mostly directionals, how to get into the open house. And then the next one is arrive early. So obviously we don't want to be showing up at the same time that the neighbors are showing up or anything. So make sure you get there early. I'm guilty. I've had recently a couple open houses that were like far away. I didn't plan correctly for traffic, showed up and had people sitting there waiting. And it's just, so it's very embarrassing. And then the house isn't ready, right? So you just want to make sure that you go in and you get all the lights on, get it smelling good, make sure everything's ready to go. And then the last step is the follow-up. So we will go more into depth in the follow-up. Any questions so far on what we're going to be covering today? No? Okay, so picking the right house is super important. So although listings can be held on any open house, choosing a property that puts you in the best position to meet the most motivated buyers is a great first step. So a few of the things that we're going to talk a little more in depth in are holding your own listings. So obviously when you have a listing, you want to do an open house. My idea on the open house, and many people's idea, it's not my idea, but doing like a grand opening. So the second that you listed, I like to list properties on Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, and then hold off on showings until the weekend. That way you can build up some urgency, some excitement around the house, and do like a grand opening. So that's a strategy that I actually have in my listing packet. So as you're sitting down with your sellers to talk about listing a property, build up the open house. A grand opening sounds a whole lot better than just an open house. And then obviously each week after that, it's going to be an open house. So build up the big grand opening the best that you possibly can. But obviously doing your own listings is great. So the other idea, if you don't have your own listings in the office, you are welcome to hold open houses for other people's listings. So I see it almost every week. Somebody goes on there and says, hey, I have an open house available. And that just means that they are letting you sit their open house for them. So the idea behind that is that you are picking up the leads, you get to market yourself, even though the listing is technically someone else's. You can use that as your excuse to do everything we're going to talk about today, to post on social media, to invite your database, to door knock, to make phone calls. All of that you can do around someone else's listing. So you do have to have permission. So you can see here, reach out to the agents in your market center. We just need permission. Obviously, if they're putting it in the Facebook page, they're asking for help. But even if they don't, I have my computer set up to just tell me every listing that hits the market here in this market center. So say that I'm really farming South Jordan and an amazing South Jordan listing comes up, you can reach out to the agent and just say, hey, would you care if I do an open house? If they're an agent that does the big grand openings, they may tell you no, but they'll at least know for the following week. that you would love to do it. Also, just kind of side note, I do that as well to run Facebook ads and really just to market listings. If you want to do like a home of the week or something, reach out to our agents. I honestly have, well, I can't say I've never been told no, but I've probably been told no one time asking somebody if I could market their property. So use other people's listings as a way to make yourself look busier and a way to get some marketing out for yourself. Any questions on that? I do get a lot of questions regarding marketing other people's listings.
They had the social media guy here.
Tuesday.
Talked about posting easy content, right?
Easy. Yes. Yeah. Social media guru was here this week and he mentioned doing this as, you know, again, a way to market on social. So new to market homes. So again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying. I have this office set up on listing alert. So I get to see every time a new property comes on. So look for the properties that have been on the market 0 to 14 days. So the first 2 weeks, excuse me, many homes have the highest per day traffic during the first few weeks on the market. This is largely because in every price range, there's a segment of buyers that have seen all the available inventory and they're eager to see the new listings quickly. So the new to market ones are awesome. I would also say price adjustments. So you can also set up listing alerts to see if anything has changed in price. And when somebody changes the price, that's a really good time to go out and do an open house on it. Low inventory neighborhoods, that's the next one. So that's basically the neighborhoods that don't have a lot of turnover. They don't see a lot of homes for sale. So buyers are more likely to get excited when they see a for sale sign go up in that neighborhood. Again, you can run searches on the MLS to come up with those stats and figure out what is the turnover rate in a specific neighborhood. Mid-range priced homes, I'd say mid to lower priced homes. Right now, people are looking at those because they are more affordable than most. So you can also use the MLS to identify and search for average price homes. I just say like first-time home buyers, you're going to get a whole lot more traffic that way than you will on some of the higher priced ones. Although all of you working Parade of Homes, I'm sure you would disagree because it sounds like you guys are having some good traffic in that almost $2 million house. Choose the best day and time. So this is interesting too. So I get asked this a lot. When is the best time to do open houses, prospect, all of that stuff? So the best practices for open houses are Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. I do not see a lot of people doing open houses during this time, but it makes sense that you're going to catch people driving home from work. So I definitely think this is a good time to try it. Those people posting on Facebook that they have an open house, somebody else snags it up, ask if you can do it during the week and pick up a couple extra hours. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I mean, I would just be guessing or assuming that it's just the middle of the week and people are kind of into their week and then they're heading into the weekend. So I don't know. So he was saying that Wednesdays in Park City, he notices a lot of people doing open houses. So if anybody has another thought on that, I'd love to hear it, but I would guess it's just kind of, it's not a Monday and it's not a Friday, but I don't know the answer. They also say Wednesday afternoon is, and this was in a Harvard study, but the Wednesday afternoon is the best time to get a hold of people on the phone too. So it must be that we are not working as hard on a Wednesday. I don't know. We're more available. And then the typical one that we always recommend is, well, here I would say Saturdays for sure between, I usually do 11 to 2, but 11 to 1 is great and 2 to 4 is great. So why do you think those are really good times? We're not doing it too early, we're not doing it too late, but what do you think around those times? Make sure you guys are still awake. Any thoughts on Zoom?
Maybe after church.
After church? Yep, that's a good one. I would also say a lot of people, you know, number one, it's Saturday, Sunday, they sleep in, but number two, a lot of kids' activities and whatnot are typically in the morning. And so I think you're going to catch those people later in the afternoon. A lot of times I find that there's people that are right at 11 and then it can get a little bit quiet and then they show up at like 12:59 if I'm closing at 1. So that's why I like to do kind of the 11 to 2 to hit those two spots. Later in the afternoon, I think that's, again, just people are done with their chores, they're done with their kids' activities and go out there. So the longer, the better. The biggest thing I can tell you about open houses is The whole reason we do it, it's just an event. So just like we're doing client appreciation events, it gives us a good excuse to talk to people, to market, to lead generate. And it only takes one person to walk through that house for you to be able to get some clients, pick up somebody, get a lead, all of that stuff. So optimize the weekends and host multiple open houses to capture the most buyers. You can hold the same listing open multiple times or hold multiple listings open at one time. So you'll hear a term here at Keller Williams where we say paint the town red. That is where, and Marilee, this is something you could do since it's your own listing. That is where you reach out to other people who have listings in the office and just say, hey, you have some listings. And you can reach out to people outside of KW too. I get a lot of these calls where they're like, hey, we're doing an open house this weekend. Let's all do it at the same time. Let's create a flyer that has all the listings on it. The idea of paint the town red is obviously the red signs, but it's fine if you're doing it with other companies too. I recently did this in a property that I had in Ogden, and it was awesome because the people that came through, they're like, oh, I was just over at this house. And so their traffic becomes your traffic becomes theirs. So it's a good way to get the traffic all over the place, and you can tell each other about each other's listings. So, and then, so on here, it also says you want to have your ideal listing picked by Monday or Tuesday. So that is ideal. I would also tell you that a lot of times we get people that ask us on Thursday or Friday, hey, do you have someone who can host an open house for us tomorrow? Don't be discouraged by that. It still gives you a lot of marketing that you can do. And again, you have one person come through that property that turns into a client, and it's a win. And it's good practice. So don't be discouraged if we reach out on Thursday or Friday, but if you get to pick one and be really strategic, do it by Monday or Tuesday. Any questions on what open houses you want to, picking the right house, and any other thoughts or ideas around that? Questions? No? Okay. So the next step is creating marketing materials. So obviously flyers are great. We want to do flyers so that you can hand out something pretty, something that's a marketing piece that has all of your information on it. This is also great when it's not your home because if the neighbors come in and they do ask for information, they're automatically just going to assume that it's your house. So I have a story where I was doing an open house with the neighbor across the street. They came over and they said, are you the agent here? I was actually the buyer's agent about to walk into a house waiting for a client, but they said, are you the agent? And I said, yes. And then they asked me to come over and the property across the street. So were they assuming I was the listing agent? Probably, but they said, are you the agent? And I was the agent at that moment. So just being around these, you never know what you're going to get. And just being able to hand out something that has all the information is awesome. So the key things on a flyer would be obviously the photos of the home. So if you don't know this, in Command, Keller Williams has their own multiple listing service. So you can go into that, you can type in any address or any MLS number, and it will auto-populate all the photos. So this works even if it's not our listing. So that's one way to get photos of the home. Other things are details about the home and the neighborhood. Marcel, I'm sure, could help us get neighborhood type information, schools, things like
Yeah,
let's.
and our software has AI, so you can go
Okay.
in there, create an AI, edit it.
Awesome. We need to come have you do a class on that again. I know you've done it a couple times, but their software is amazing. So we can check out what's happening in the neighborhood. You can print out something, put it in the house, like a info book, but yeah. Yes, you do. Yes, yes. That is awesome. Thank you. Is it list reports or something like that? With your own system? Okay. You guys use your vendors, use title, use lender, because they can help you with all of this stuff. They definitely have some cool things. I know that I get emails, and when something's automatically listed, even when it's not listed, I get an email at least once a week with marketing materials I don't even have to do anything with. Soraya, you're raising your hand. Trying to figure out what to do.
Sorry, yeah, I just had a quick question with like reaching out to title and everything.
Okay.
What if your buyer's wondering how many previous owners there are? How far back do you go usually when they're at an open house asking that?
The kind of goes back online to like, early nineties.
Early nineties, we can go back that far.
Okay, perfect.
Good question. Okay, so obviously your contact info, that's going to be a big piece on the flyer. We've talked a little bit about that. Your preferred lender's contact info, that is awesome. You want to put that on there. It's fun to do an open house with your preferred lender. Is that something you guys would ever do with people? Okay. Cross Country Mortgage is here. And so I know a lot of lenders offer to sit the open house with you. As a woman, I think it's good for safety to have somebody else with you. But also just for business, if they're not looking to buy, or maybe they don't even know, you can talk about refinancing, you can talk about getting them pre-qualified. They could probably help you come up with a payment right there. In fact, that'd be a good idea to put on the flyer, like this payment for this, or you could do the next one is a call to action. You can put some form of call to action on the flyer that's going to get their attention, like ask me about price reduction list or about below market financing. So this home qualifies for 4% interest. Ask me how, right? Like, and the lender's going to be the one to help you figure out how to be creative with that, Marcel.
So our software, as you go knock doors, it tells you owner occupied, non-owner occupied. So you can take those
Oh.
flyers. If you know this person is a renter, you can then now have a conversation of what you're going to handle. So
That is amazing. So if you guys can't hear, Marcel's referring back to his software. So they can actually tell if that person is owner occupied or renter. So you'd be a little more purposeful when you knock on the renter's door about this conversation, getting into a home for less than rent, getting into a home, you know, with no money down, getting into a home for 5% interest, something like that. So the call to action could be huge, and knowing in the neighborhood who owns the house versus who's renting is also great information. So thank you. I think I probably already said this. Having your preferred lender's contact information on your flyer allows you to use it when talking to a potential buyer that hasn't been pre-approved yet. You're immediately showing value, and the buyer is more likely to keep the flyer, which also has your contact information on it. So, use your vendors in here. The next one, oh, wrong way. So the registration sheet, and let me show you what one of these looks like. I didn't put it in my slide, but I'll show you. It's in the book that you guys are going to get. But a registration sheet is the most important thing that is on here. Does anybody have an issue with this? I know I have a lot of people that are like, I don't know how to get the information. I'm scared to ask them. Does anybody have any thoughts like that or any concerns about using a registration sheet? Have you guys been using it?
I use it and I haven't really had much issue with it. I just tell people that it's so the owners know who's coming in and out of their home.
Yep.
And I actually have it in two places. I have the registration sheet, and then part of my paperwork, there's kind of like a report card thing that goes over what they think of the home. And at the
You're
bottom,
ahead of me. That's
oh,
awesome.
okay, I can stop.
No, go ahead. I'm kidding. You're good.
Well, at the bottom, it's a secondary place for them if I didn't get it the first time to get their information. And
Love it.
generally speaking, they're fine.
That is awesome. Yes, Sari is doing it to 7th level right there. So make sure you have the registration form. I'm going to show you an example of one. And that literally is my script too. Right when they come in, I say the sellers have asked to know who's coming through their home. It's up to the seller, right? Like they're opening their doors and letting people into their house. So if you present it in a way that's not like, oh, I need to collect your information so I can follow up with you and you can be one of my clients one day. It just sounds better when you can say that, you know, the seller is asking. So let me show you, there's one in here. And where's the registration sheet? Maybe there's not a sample of that. Okay, we will move on. I thought there was a sample of that, but basically it is, you know, name, contact info. It's the NAPE, name, address, phone number, and email. So you're always looking for NAPE. That's your acronym for that. And then the scorecard. So Sari talked about this, which I love. And you can see on this one, it also has a place for name, email, and phone number again. I do have this on my registration sheet that says, are you working with an agent? And one step further, I have agent's name. So a lot of times people are just going to mark yes because it's easier. They think they'll just get rid of you if they mark yes. But next to it, I say agent's name. And even if they mark yes and they don't fill that in, I always ask them like, oh, who's your agent? Maybe I know them. Because if they can't name their agent, they're not working with an agent. So it's just kind of one step further to find out if they're motivated or if they're just trying to get you to go away. But yes, I love this. So 1 through 5, if you can hurry and rate this, and this is really good, Marilee, for your sellers. So you want to be able to give this back to your sellers because we're going in, yes, we'd love to sell the house, but we're going in really to pick up more leads on the home. But if you can turn this into a value for the seller to let them know that you got instant feedback and you're able to let them know what people think of the home. This is in black and white. This isn't you going back and saying, I told you the house stunk. It's letting the people who walk through go through and tell the seller what they think of the house. So there's an example of a scorecard. So Sari, you're doing awesome. That's very good. I thought I had a registration sheet. I can pull one up and show you, but basically it's just the information that you want, and then just have some KW1 so you can make them kind of pretty. You can also create a digital landing page in Command, and this in the playbook I'm going to send you, it shows you step by step how to do that. So if you are much more of a technology type person, you can always have your laptop out, you can have an iPad out, you can do it from your phone where they actually enter the information right there on that. The one thing that's nice about this is it's automatically added to your database. So I'm a pen and paper kind of person, but I'm also the kind of person that's going to put the registration sheet in my back seat and probably lose it. So using the digital landing page, when they enter their info, it goes right into Command. All you have to do is just start marketing to them. So if you're into the technology, I would definitely recommend that. It says here it's advised to obtain consent from each attendee to contact them using language such as, this is awfully detailed. I would just say, would it be okay if I follow up with you? I'd love to share some information with you time to time, things like that. So just get some permission. Okay, so the scorecards, I showed you what that looked like, but the scorecards are a fun way to engage guests at an open house. I mean, maybe you could enter them into like a contest or something if they do this for you. That would be something good. You can, have your lenders help you. You guys could split a gift card or something. Enter here to win a gift card. That way you can make sure you gather more information. You can collect feedback on the house by creating a simple rating system. What do you think about the price? Too low, too high, just right? Rate the location, rate the curb appeal. What were your favorite features? So that's basically what you need to market. So again, here it gives you a suggestion. Marketing materials should be created by the end of the day Wednesday, so you can start marketing the open house. So ideally, we get the property by Monday or Tuesday. We get our marketing out by Wednesday and continue with the marketing through the open house. Any questions on the materials that you're going to be taking to the open house? Other suggestions I would have on that is have some fun things too. So I'm sure you've done them before. I'm sure you've heard. I used to bake cookies since COVID. I don't do that anymore. I just buy the little cookie packets. You can get them at Costco. You can get them on Amazon. The little goldfish packets, things like that. So you do have some food. If you can slow people down long enough or get their kids slowed down to grab some food and start eating, you can start talking to them. I grab the little tiny bottles of water because I don't really want waters all over the house. So I just do little ones. And then it's always good to have some swag there, some flyers that they can take. If you have some, cute pens or magnets, anything like that, that you can take into the house just so that they walk away with something from you. Business cards are great if you don't want to do any swag yet, but just have something they can walk away with on top of the other things that you're going to use to capture info. Okay, so then we're going to move on to marketing the open house. So the key to a successful open house is generating as much traffic as possible. Marketing the open house a few days before the event allows you to notify people in advance to mark their calendars. So start by inviting your database. So again, the whole purpose of that is just so your database can start seeing that you're doing business, and also they may know people. They may be looking too. So your database, it's a really good opportunity to have that conversation. It gives you some reason to call throughout the week, reason to text. You're using this just like an event. So you're using this just like you guys are with your client event. So you can do a save the date, You can create an event on Facebook, you can send out an email, and you can call them and have a conversation. So great way to market to your database. Inviting the neighbors, that's a really good idea. The neighbors are going to know what's going on. You will have looky-loos who are just curious. But again, the idea is that you're going to have conversations maybe about when they're planning to move and picking up whether or not they want to sell their house. So here, or who they know. Yes, exactly. So door knock and circle prospect the neighborhood a day or two before the open house. And the purpose is to invite neighbors to come early. So you can also make them feel special and say, oh, we're opening to the public at 11, but I'm inviting the neighbors over at 10:30. So just having them be able to come in. And then again, you can have more purposeful conversations with just the neighbors and getting a sneak peek into the home. So it does let them just, if they're curious or whatever, it's going to let them come in and do that, but you'll be able to figure out if they are just looky-loos. Door knock the nearest 20 homes. So 10 on one side and 10 on the other side. So if you don't get into, 1 or 2 days before the open house, you can easily do 10 on each side, probably in 30 minutes. So I would recommend if you get this open house, because we do call you on Friday and say somebody needs you to do this tomorrow, it's okay to door knock early. Just let them know, hey, I'm doing an open house in the next 30 minutes. I'd love for you to come over. Who do you know? Have that conversation. But 20 homes really should be the minimum. And then circle prospect the neighborhood or immediate area. So circle prospecting you typically would do on the phone. And again, Marcel can help us get phone numbers to do that. Here is a conversation. We talk a lot on the script practice. I use the same conversation all the time. It's just the same few questions. This one's just a little more tailored to open houses. So, hi, my name is Terry with Keller Williams Realty. I'm holding the property at 123 Main Street open on Saturday from 1 to 4. I wanted to invite all the neighbors to come take a sneak peek. Will you be around to stop by? So if they say yes, then you can say, awesome, I hope to meet you then. We would love for you to give us some feedback after you check it out. Do you have anyone that you know that might love to be your neighbor? If yes, obviously we're going to gather the info. If they say they cannot come by, you can just say, that's okay, there's still time. This says make a joke. While I have you, so if you're on the phone or you're just door knocking, would you like me to get an updated market report on your home? So the sellers are very curious, and the best time to pick up a listing out of a neighborhood is right after the sign goes up on a listing. So if you drive through a property, you'll see sign goes up, a few days later, another sign goes up. So the idea is that we want to be the person who's catching the next listing. And it usually comes from the seller being curious, like, oh my gosh, if they can list their house for 500, I can definitely list mine for 550. So that's why we're offering a free home evaluation, because they're now curious, wondering what the neighbor's going to sell for. So now they want to know what their home is worth. So it just says, if yes, get details, ask if motivated to move, offer to a CMA to verify on the way to or from the open house. So remind them you're going to be in the area for the next couple days and you'd be happy just to stop by. But that's basically the conversation on door knocking and circle prospecting. Any questions on that with the conversation or door knocking? Who's tried this? Who has actually done it? Some chats here. Has anybody done an open house, door knocking around an open house?
Yes, ma'am.
Cody, you have?
Yes, I have.
How did that go? Did you do a lot of people? Did you just kind of do the 10 on each side? How did that go for you?
I probably did like 30, 40 homes.
That's awesome. Were you able to pick up any leads or anyone to follow up with?
I got a couple too that like came on through, but nothing serious.
Okay. Awesome.
It's my first time doing it. I wasn't even licensed yet. I was just going with the guys. So.
Oh, how funny. Oh, you really probably couldn't or shouldn't have been offering CMAs if you weren't licensed yet, but I love you going and getting them. That's awesome. So
they kind of like,
what'd you say, Cody?
They like kidnapped me and kind of like just like threw me into it. So I was just like kind of there, but it was like massive. Them open houses were like 35, 40, 50 people deep a piece. It was nuts.
Yes. Open houses were wild last year and amazing at the same time. Okay, so I was just checking the chat. So if you guys have not seen this, Marilee shared her sign-in page, which is amazing. See if I can show it. So here hers is name, phone number, email, oh, and time in. So this is, I guess, just figuring out what time they're coming by. So this is great. Courtney's coming in. That's great. The only thing I would add to this is if they're working with an agent or have an interest in selling, but this is like prime info. If this is all you got, that's amazing. Marcel?
What is the QR code?
Marilee, what's the QR code?
That's my app.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm so glad you brought that up. That is another way to gather information is using your app, and you really should share it with everyone. That reminds me a couple other ideas on open house. So share the app. So if you don't have business cards and they ask for your information, I always say, oh, I have something better. Let me give you my information. I have an app that you can share, you can use and see properties like we do as realtors. What's your cell phone number? So now you've collected their phone number. You share it with them, and then you can also say, this way you can see other houses as you're driving around. Have some time at 2 o'clock. If you get into any properties, I'm happy to show them to you today. So create that urgency. They're driving around and they're like, oh, I got to take down the address and I'm going to call somebody on Monday. It's just nice that you can offer to help them that day. Like, okay, I'm happy to show you into some of these properties. It's also good to know what other properties are listed in the area. So if they've been there or they tell you, oh, I'm looking at, at 500 and you're like, oh yeah, there's 3 other ones today. Schedule some openings with those people. Just call and see if, or go on to the showing program and just see if you can do an opening from 2 to 3. And then that way you can say, oh yeah, there's 2 other properties in the neighborhood. I'd be happy to show them to you. I can show them to you today, anytime between 2 and 3. So it's like you already have control of that listing. So if you have an appointment booked, you can do that. If nobody shows up, then you can just, apologize to the other agent that your buyer changed their mind or you didn't have anyone to show through the property. Marilee, thanks for sharing that. Okay, posting to social media. So social media obviously is another really good way to market an open house to get more traffic to it. Also makes it visible to your friends and family as their real estate agent of choice. This is credibility. Again, the more they see you doing things in real estate, the more it becomes less of, oh my gosh, my sister has her license. It's more like, wow, my sister is a true professional. Look at her go. She's doing so much. She has all these tools. So post on social media, signs of success. That's really what this is. Doing an open house is a sign of success. Things you're going to include similar to any, just listed or open house invitation, day and time, address, key details of the home, and then your call to action, like click here to get a sneak peek. So this is social media. So you could put a link to the property. You could do a video tour of the property. If you're doing an open house and you can get in there the day before the open house to make a video, that would be awesome. If not, make a video while you're there. I've seen so many cute videos of people just walking through, like do a live video before everyone gets there, walk through, show the house and tell them to come on down, enter, to win a gift card or come on down and visit me. I've got some great food here. But just a call to action on that video is a really good way to get more traffic. Another way to generate traffic on social media is to use the same graphics and create an ad on Facebook and Instagram. So a lot of this stuff you can do for free through command, and then Facebook ads, you can also do something on there that you can run it for a day, you can run it for a week, very inexpensive. And then again, people start seeing the same ad with your information over and over and over again. Plus you can tell your seller what you've done to market the property and how many people have been interested in this. So the more you do, the better. Pro tip, if we haven't talked about this enough, use your vendor partners like a title company to get a list of neighbors to call and target on social media. So I think it's a really good idea. I can tell you, I started my business sitting in a model home and it was extremely boring. This was way back when, and people were not coming through every day, all day. So I spent my all day long prospecting. So it'd be good for you to take a list of phone numbers, and if nobody's showing up, it's a great time to call people on a Saturday while you have nothing else to do. Talk to people, talk to the neighbors. So have a phone list with you, or your SOI list too. You can always call them on a Saturday. Here's an example social post. So this is just one that is in the playbook as well. New and listing open house, always put some emojis on there. It tells you a little bit about the house, tells you the date, the time, and then it also has information that you can put on there, who you are. You could put a link on there. Obviously, we're going to put photos on there, but there's lots you can do for a social post. And a lot of you guys are really good on social media. So make a reel, make a TikTok, all the fun things. Okay, so now we've done marketing, we found the house, we've gotten prepared, and now we're actually going to host the open house. So make sure you have extra marketing materials. We talked a little bit about signs. Like I said, it suggests to put out 20 to 40 signs for open house. What's the most anybody's ever used on an open house, or what's you guys have seen? Have you ever seen anything crazy like 20 to 40? It's a lot for sure. It definitely would get some attention. So yeah, I mean, like I said, the office is going to give you 4. I would use those 4 on top of yours and maybe double that, you know, if you could do like 8 signs, especially if the home is kind of in a tricky neighborhood, you want to be able to direct people in. If it's on a main street, you don't need as many, but if it's pretty deep into the neighborhood, you want to be able to direct them in. And it's just good for neighbors to see your signs over and over and over and over again. So yes. Yes.
You're gonna
Another-
want sandbags too.
And sandbags, yes, with our crazy weather. But yeah, definitely this is another reason to show up early so you can drive multiple ways into the home so you can see where it's best to put the directional signs. If you're late and you're just rushing there, then again, you're just at a disadvantage to be able to put the signs where they should be. You want to capture as many people. Also put another sign in the front yard. So a lot of times people don't do that. If I run out of signs, and I always do balloons unless it's, you know, tornado weather out there, I will always just make sure if I don't have an extra sign for the front yard to at least put balloons or something on it. It's also a good idea to put, say that you're marketing the property on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, open house is on Saturday. You can also get sign writers that say open house, and then you fill in the date and the time, just so the neighbors can start getting excited on Wednesday that they come through on Saturday. So letting them know up front. This suggests starting the night before. If you have an open house early in the morning, putting the signs out the night before. I think that's great. I do worry about the weather. I'm with Cody on that one. So also a lot of times, this is why you don't want to spend a ton of money on signs. So some cities, if you leave them up too long, they will come around and pick them up. Daybreak is one of them. I've lost a few signs to Daybreak to South Jordan. So if you leave them up, I think the rule, I don't know this for sure, so don't quote me, but it's like 4 hours, or if they're up longer than that, the city will come and start taking your signs. They take them. You can get them back. You'd have to go down to the city to get them, but some cities will do that. So I'd hesitate on the night before thing. But yeah.
It's too cheesy, so my wife has little yours. Happy birthday, so
Yeah.
open house.
I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think the cheesier, the better. So he asked if we could put a sign up there similar to like a happy birthday sign. Yeah.
But it's like each individual better.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. You guys can take this to a whole new level. Some agents do a food truck every single time. I've seen that. You bring a food truck to the neighborhood and free tacos and come look at this house, you're going to have a lot of people. So ice cream truck, yes, on an August when it's super hot, do an ice cream truck. Get creative. Sit outside if it's cold, hand out hot chocolate. So, I mean, I don't think that's cheesy at all. I think the cheesier, the better. You see people with the crazy, you know, like that person sign, that blowing sign. You see, they call them feathers, which are the long kind of like, I don't know how to describe them, but they're called feathers, but they don't look like a feather, but they're like the flappy signs. Get really creative. Get really creative. Start, you know, you might have to start small, but start investing in this kind of stuff. The more attention you can bring to the house, the better. Okay, so we've talked about arriving early. You want to make sure you're inviting the neighborhoods. You can also get them set up on monthly neighborhood nurtures. If that's something they'd like to receive from you. Again, that's through command. It's going to send them what's happening in their neighborhood specific to their address. So you do need their address and their email to make that work. We talked about setting up 1 to 2 quick videos of the neighborhood. Go into, I mean, you can get real crazy. If you guys are following people on YouTube, there are some awesome people, like say that we're doing an open house in Daybreak, go up there and videotape the pizza joint, go up there and videotape the break, go up there and go to the swimming pools. I mean, there's so many things you can do the day before, the day of, to really add value to the seller, to your own business, to marketing. So get creative, but this is talking about videos on the neighborhood. I think that's such a good idea. Then it's time to host it. So this is it. People are coming in and out. You're introducing yourself and asking them to sign in. You're having conversations about the details of the home, and your hard work is going to pay off. So this is basically just a good conversation. Hi, welcome to 123 Main Street. What brings you here today? I'm just looking. We typically find that people come to open houses either to look for a home of their own or find the value of their house. Do you live nearby? So this script obviously is geared towards getting listing leads because we're asking if they want to know the value of their house. Another script that I say is, are you looking for a home for yourself or someone else? That's another way for them to say, oh no, I'm just looking. I'm the neighbor. But those are just easy questions. What other questions do you guys say? Or I know a few of you like that are doing open houses daily. What do you find that's working? We lost them. Okay. Hang in there. We got 10 more minutes, people. Hang in. Okay, so number 5 is probably the most important part of any lead generation, which is follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. So following up with people that attend gets you one step closer to the appointment. So I find a lot of times, I'm guilty of it myself, you will have an open house, and this definitely happened when there were 40, 50 people in there. You're doing your best just to get everyone to sign in, and then you go home and you do nothing with the list. So make sure that you follow up. Try to take a note on whoever has attended, what their situation is, if you can, or if you have time. Contact everybody that attended the open house as soon as possible. And say you do the open house on Saturday, Saturday afternoon is not too soon to contact them. Let them know, hey, we had a lot of people through the house. Just curious if you had any questions on this. Did you see anything else you wanted to see today? I'm still available. I'd be happy to get you into some properties. So contact everybody. See who the neighbors are, see who's really.
Hey, Terry.
Yeah,
Sorry, this is Carly.
you're good.
So if they say that they have an agent, like even on the form, what, like, I don't know what if it's even appropriate to contact those people, is it?
If they tell you
Like if they say they have an agent?
yeah, so the scripting around that is, are you working with an agent? If they say yes, I always say, oh, who are they? Maybe I know them, to see if I can get a name out of them. If they cannot tell me a name, I'm probably going to follow up with them, because if you don't know your agent's name, you probably aren't actively working with them. And if I'm having a real conversation, say I call them the next day and they're just like, oh, I'm working with somebody, I'll just say, oh, okay, so are you actively out shopping? Have you signed a contract with them? And those are really the main questions we have to ask. Are you working with an agent, and have you signed something in writing with them? If they say yes and yes, we have to back off, completely back off. And I just say, okay, great. If it doesn't work out, contact me. We have to really back off at that point. If a lot of times people will say, well, I'm not actively looking. I'm not really sure if I've signed anything. My agent has abandoned me. I can't get a hold of them. And then at that point, we just need to make sure that we say, well, we need you to find out for sure if you have something in writing, and you need to get out of that contract before I can help you. So we don't want to give them too much advice, just that we can't help them if they have something in writing.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
A good question, because a lot of open house attendees are going to say they're working with someone. So you do have to push them a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much everybody, but you know.
Yes, because it's easy. It's just like walking into a store. Do you need help? Nope, I'm good. That's their way of saying,
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So the following Monday, call the same people you called when you were circle prospecting around the neighborhood. So again, another excuse to contact and lead. Circle prospect the neighborhood before the open house to provide feedback, offer a market analysis, and ask for a referral. So you can just let them know, hey, I just want to let you know, it looks like we had 25 people come through. This house is going to sell really fast. Again, we have people who want to live in this neighborhood. Have you thought about moving? So just let them know you have a list of 20 people and only one person's going to get this house. So just let them know. and then add follow-up plans to every new contact. So any questions on follow-up? I'm going to go in a little bit deeper into the playbook you guys are going to get today just to show you what else is in there. We're probably not going to dig too deep in this. The biggest follow-up I can tell you is contacting everybody and then making sure we're adding them to the database and then putting them on a smart plan. So those are going to be the biggest ones. But any other questions on follow-up? Anything you guys do that's kind of outside of just this? Okay, I'm going to open up the playbook after I show you this again. This is something that's going to be in all of my slideshows from now on. I want everybody here to be in the 201 club, which is basically 201 contacts or more. So if you aren't hitting your goal, your database either isn't large enough or you aren't following up with this consistently, according to Gary Keller. So there have been studies done. If you can see this right here, it's showing you this huge jump in real estate commissions after you hit 201 people in your database. So I tell people if you have at least 201 in your database and you're marketing properly to it, you should be making $100,000 or more. And that seems to be like the first step in real estate. When I ask people, what do you want to make? Everybody's like, I just want to make 100 grand. So the first step to making $100,000 is to get your database up to 201 people. So you can see if you go even further, you can see the people that have 5,000 people, they're making 350 grand a year. But first goal is 201. So I just wanted to show you guys that really quick as we kind of wrap up here. And then we'll end with a quote by Gary Keller: fail often, fail fast, and fail forward. So whatever it is you're doing, like Marilee opened this class today with a really good, vulnerable statement that she's scared. She's got her first listing. She's going to do her first open house on a listing of her own. It's okay. This is easy. If we fall down, we make a mistake, we're just still moving forward, and that's progress. So any questions on everything we've covered today? I keep losing there we go.
Oh, I think I got really good stuff to go work on now. This happened like last minute, so I'm just rushing. I just posted it today. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm just rushing because she wants to move fast. But thank you. I got a lot of good stuff.
Good. I'm glad you joined us today. So this is the open house playbook. We will get this out to all of you guys. So I'm going to run through it really quick. A lot of the stuff we talked about today, we only have 1 minute left, so I'm going to let you guys go on time. So I'm not going to read all of this, but like I said, a lot of us have weird thoughts around open houses, which this is just going to help you understand that they're probably not true. Going over everything we talked about today, and then towards the end, so you have some samples of flyers, open house registrations, conversations, social media posts. And then on the very back, which we're going to get there soon, right here, these are step-by-step instructions on how to make the flyers, how to make a Facebook ad, how to make the command login so that you can actually require them to put their information in. Goes into more of making your calls, sending out mass text. So there's a lot of things in here that relate to the open house that it's just going to teach you how to do that. The social media posts, running social ads, all of that, creating your follow-up plans. So just some additional stuff that's more like on the tech side. So I'm going to send this out to all of you guys. And then if you have any questions as you get into command, let me know, and I'm happy to help. But thanks you guys for coming today. We will get this out to you. Any other questions before we wrap up? No. Okay, well, happy Thursday. Anybody who's Ignite, I'll see you in the morning. We'll wrap up Ignite this week. Our office is closed on Monday. I don't know if you guys knew that. So just letting you know that we will not have class on Monday or scripts or anything. It's Juneteenth, which is a national holiday. So have a great night, you guys.
Thank you.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
It was great.
Awesome.